I'm Anna Mitchell, 38 years old, and I never imagined my own family could turn on me so brutally. It was Christmas dinner in Lincoln, Nebraska. The table buzzed with holiday chatter. I had spent hours preparing, my hands still aching from the work I'd poured into keeping this family afloat. Then my dad's voice cut through the noise. "You're just a burden. We want to live without you. Get out right now." The words hit like a slap. My mom sat there giggling, swirling her wine glass, silent. My sister stared at her plate, avoiding my eyes. The guests froze, forks suspended midair. My chest burned, but I didn't let a tear fall. I stood, grabbed my coat, and walked out into the biting Nebraska night. My steps were steady despite the chaos inside me. Whispers trailed behind me, but I didn't look back. I had given everything, my dreams, my savings, for them. And this was my thanks. Have you ever been betrayed by the ones you love most? The next morning I pulled into Mark's driveway in Lincoln, my suitcase rattling in the trunk. Mark, my boyfriend, opened the door before I could knock, his eyes soft with concern. "You okay?" he asked, pulling me into a hug. I nodded, though my throat tightened. I hadn't slept. My dad's words still stung raw and sharp. Inside, Mark's small living room felt like a sanctuary, so far from that Christmas dinner table. I set my laptop on the kitchen counter, hands trembling, and logged into my bank account. I needed to know where I stood after walking away. The screen loaded and my heart sank. The joint account I shared with my sister, meant for family bills, was down thousands of dollars. My pulse raced as I scrolled through transactions. Over $10,000 had been funneled into something labeled Rachel's boutique project. My sister had drained the money without saying a word. I leaned back, breath catching. Years ago, I'd built a graphic design studio from nothing. Clients loved my work, I was booked months out. But when my dad's medical bills piled up and my sister's gigs dried up, I sold it all to keep the family afloat. I paid for their heat, water, mortgage, nearly $2,000 a month. No thanks, no acknowledgement, only demands. No. My dad had called me a burden. I opened the auto payment portal for the family's utilities. My finger hovered over the screen as his voice echoed in my head. "We want to live without you." "Fine. Let's see how they manage." I canceled the electric bill. Then the water. Then the mortgage. With each click, a weight lifted. For the first time in years, I exhaled. Mark stirred his coffee, watching. "You sure about this?" I met his gaze, jaw tight. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. I closed the laptop. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of control. My family thought they could throw me out and still cash my checks. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 days later, Mark sat beside me on his couch, his hand resting on mine. "Talk to me," he said. And I did. The betrayal. The bills. The humiliation. My voice cracked, but I kept going. I gave up everything for them, and they called me a burden. Mark leaned forward, his eyes serious. "Anna, you deserve better. Set your boundaries now, or they'll keep taking." His words hit like a door swinging open. I grabbed my laptop. The auto payment portal was still open. Internet. Phone. Car insurance. All tied to my account. One by one I shut them down. Fick. The phone bill was last. I hesitated, then hit confirm. No going back. Minutes later my phone buzzed. Dad's name flashed on the screen. "Anna, what's going on?" he barked. "The lights are out. The water's off. What did you do?" My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. "You said I was a burden. You told me to get out. I'm just giving you what you wanted." He sputtered. "You're overreacting. Turn it back on, now." Overreacting. The word stung, but I didn't flinch. "No, Dad. You don't get to demand my help anymore." I hung up before he could respond. My hands shook, but my mind was clear. I wasn't just cutting off the bills. I was cutting them out of my future. And for the first time in years, I felt free. I knew about the money, $10,000 siphoned off for Rachel's failed fashion project. "You thought I wouldn't notice?" I said into the phone. Silence hung on the line. Then she scoffed. "You're making this about me." Typical. I could hear her typing, probably already spinning her story. "You took my trust," I snapped. "You don't get to lecture me." I hung up, my pulse hammering. 2 days later, my mom showed up at Mark's door. His face was tense but polite as he let her in. Susan stood in the living room, hands twisting together. "Anna, we're struggling," she pleaded, her voice shaky. The bills are piling up, the house payment's late. Please turn the services back on. Her eyes were red, but I saw no regret. No apology for that night. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Mom, you laughed when Dad told me to get out. You let him call me a burden. Rachel drained my account and you said nothing. This is on her, not me. Susan's face crumpled. We're family, she whispered. Family doesn't abandon each other. I shook my head. You abandoned me first. I'm done carrying you all. She left, shoulders slumped. I felt no guilt. Years of bailing them out were over. That evening my phone buzzed with notifications. On Facebook, Rachel's post was pinned to the top of her profile. Some people turn their backs on family when they need them most. Anna Mitchell thinks she's better than us, leaving her parents and sister to struggle. Shame on her. My stomach twisted, not with hurt but with fury. She had painted me as the villain, twisting the truth to save face. I scrolled through the comments. How could she do that? One wrote. Ungrateful, said another. Even my cousin Brian had shared it, adding, heard they're barely getting by now. The post was spreading like wildfire in Lincoln's tight-knit community. Mark sat beside me, his hand on my shoulder. They're lashing out because they're desperate, he said. I nodded, but Rachel's lies still stung. I could have posted my side, how I'd paid their bills, how Rachel stole from me, how they threw me out. But I didn't. Let them talk. I wasn't the one hiding the truth. 3 weeks later, word reached me. My family's world was crumbling. Their house in Lincoln had gone dark. No electricity. No running water. A foreclosure notice was taped to the front door, the bank's red ink screaming unpaid debts. Rachel's boutique project had collapsed completely, costing her a contract with a local retailer. She couldn't pay rent on her office space and was locked out. Dad had picked up odd repair jobs, fixing leaky faucets, patching drywall, but the pay was barely enough for groceries. I heard it all secondhand. Each detail tightened a knot in my chest. Not guilt, just a dull ache for the parents I'd once idolized. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Rachel's name flashed first. Anna, you've ruined us, she shouted when I picked up. No power, no water. How could you? Her voice dripped with blame, as if I had forced her to drain my account. You took $10,000 for your project. I shot back, my tone sharp. You don't get to play victim now. She hung up, her silence louder than her words. Then my dad called. David, I cut him off before he could start. You told me to get out. I'm not your bank anymore. He tried again, softer. We're losing everything. I swallowed hard, throat tight. You lost me first, I said, and ended the call. Each rejection was another brick in the wall I was building around myself. Solid but heavy. I turned my focus to my work. My laptop glowed with new client emails. Logos, flyers, websites. The Lincoln coffee shop had signed on, thrilled with my menu design. A startup sent a contract for a full branding package, their feedback brimming with praise. I worked from Mark's dining table, sketching ideas and tweaking color palettes. Every project fueled a fire in me, a strength I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't just surviving, I was rebuilding the life I had sacrificed. Another call came. Rachel again. Please, Anna, she begged, her voice breaking. We're drowning. Just pay the electric bill. I gripped the phone, my resolve unshaken. You made your choices, Rachel. Live with them. I hung up, hands steady though my heart twisted. I thought of Mom, picturing her in that dark house, but her silence at that dinner table still echoed. I had loved them deeply. But love didn't mean being used. The rumors spread through Lincoln. A neighbor texted asking if it was true, the lights off, the house at risk. I didn't reply. Dad's repair jobs weren't enough. Rachel's reputation was sinking fast after her contract collapse. They were paying the price for their choices just as I had once paid for mine. I sent an invoice to the startup. My bank account was growing again, dollars earned by my own hands, not stolen by theirs. Leaning back in my chair, I stared at my latest design. A bold, vibrant logo for a bakery. Pride stirred in me, quiet but steady. Their chaos was theirs now. I was done being their crutch. 2 months later, I heard they had sold their house. They'd moved into a cramped rental on the outskirts of Lincoln, a far cry from the home I'd kept afloat for years. A former neighbor told me over the phone. Your dad and sister hardly speak to anyone. Your mom, She keeps to herself. I hung up slowly, staring at the ceiling. My heart was steady. For the first time in years, I wasn't drowning with them. I was free. I set my phone down, a flicker of sadness passing through me, but it didn't linger. I'd carried their burdens long enough. That evening, a voicemail chimed. My mom's voice filled the room, soft, halting. Anna, I'm sorry for what happened at Christmas. We shouldn't have treated you that way. I hope you're okay. No mention of fixing things. No acknowledgement of the years I'd sacrificed. Just words, empty and late. I deleted the message without replying, my heart steady. I had waited too long for apologies that changed nothing. My focus was elsewhere now, on myself, on my future. After weeks of freelance gigs, I took a leap and rented a small office space downtown. It was just a corner unit, enough for a desk and my design tools. I named it Mitchell Design Studio, a nod to the dream I'd once lost. The first day I walked in, keys jingling in my hand, a rush of pride filled me. This was mine. No one could take it away. I set up my laptop, hung sample prints on the wall, and got to work. A local bookstore had hired me for a branding overhaul. Logo, signage, even a website. Their owner emailed, thrilled with my first drafts. A Lincoln gym wanted posters and social media graphics. My inbox buzzed. Each project a step toward something bigger. Mark was there through it all. He hauled monitors and boxes into my office, sweat on his brow but a smile on his face. This place is perfect, he said. We grew closer in those months, our bond deepened by late-night talks and quiet meals. One evening at a cafe near my new office, he reached for my hand. You're unstoppable, he whispered, eyes warm. I squeezed his hand back, joy sparking inside me for the first time in years. With Mark, I wasn't just rebuilding a career. I was building a life. Days filled with sketches, client meetings, and projects. The bookstore owner dropped by, glowing with praise for the bold new logo. The gym rebooked me for another project. My bank account grew, not from family demands but from my own work. My sister's failed boutique and my dad's struggles in that small apartment drifted further into memory. Their choices had led them there. Not mine. I focused on the future. A museum emailed me asking for exhibit posters. I dove in, my mind alive with ideas. Mark joined me one afternoon, bringing takeout from my favorite taco shop. We sat on the office floor, laughing over spilled salsa, planning a weekend hike. You've come so far, he said, pride softening his voice. I nodded, warmth spreading through me. My studio was small, but it was mine. My clients trusted me. And Mark, he was no longer just a boyfriend. He was a partner in every sense. 6 months later, I was fully on my own. My family had faded into silence. No more calls, no more pleas. I heard through the grapevine that my cousin Brian still whispered about the Mitchell downfall, spreading shadows of gossip through Lincoln. I didn't care to correct him. My focus was on my life, my studio, my future. I had cut every tie and for the first time I felt free. Mitchell Design Studio thrived. A cafe needed a sign. A nonprofit wanted a campaign logo. A school asked for event flyers. My desk piled with sketches, invoices, and contracts, each one a victory. Lincoln's community was beginning to know my name, not as the daughter of a struggling family, but as a designer who delivered. One evening, Mark took me to the park by the sunken gardens. The air was warm, the sky streaked with pink. He was quiet, his hand tight in mine. By the pond, under the fading light, he turned to me. Anna, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. You've rebuilt everything on your own terms. I want to build a life with you. Inside was a simple silver ring. My breath caught, not from surprise but from the weight of his words. Yes, I whispered, tears prickling my eyes. He slipped it onto my finger and we stood there, wrapped in each other as the world faded away. We planned a small wedding in that same park. Just us, a handful of close friends, and laughter under the summer sky. On the day, I wore a simple white sundress. Mark stood under a canopy of oaks, his smile brighter than the June sun. We exchanged vows, promising trust, support, and a life built together. The ceremony was short. The reception was a picnic, music floating in the air, friends cheering us on. My family wasn't there. I didn't miss them. This was my new beginning, surrounded by people who valued me. Later, as we danced under string lights, I thought of the road I'd traveled. I had given everything to a family who once called me a burden. Walking away was the hardest thing I'd ever done. But it taught me something vital. You must set boundaries to protect yourself. To say no. To choose people who lift you up instead of dragging you down. Mark was that person for me, steady, kind, never asking me to be less than I was. My studio, my clients, my life. They were proof I could rebuild without my family's weight. And I want to leave you with this. Family doesn't mean obligation. It's okay to walk away from those who hurt you and build a life with people who see your worth. I did it, and I am stronger for it.